Hello again, back in the workshop, back with my belt driven record player. I ought to say really stepper driven record player because it's been a direct drive, it's been gear wheeled, it's been belted in various descriptions. It's much the same as it was the last time you saw it. I've moved this fan here because it was basically just getting in the way of the platter and also in the way of actually looking at the motor. Now I did start with this Hoover belt, and it worked, but not desperately well. And I had more success with a large rubber band, which was suggested actually way back when I first started experimenting with this by Michiel James. Hope I've got that right. Along with a few other things like rubber dampeners, which I haven't actually got on the mount, but I do actually have on this base here. There's actually tap washers under there. Now I'm going to show in a minute what I've been doing. Basically I've been 3D printing a new pulley here. So these are just aluminium pulleys and some cardboard and stuff, and it does work and it spins quite nicely, but I think a dedicated pulley 3D printed for this belt, and to be honest it will almost certainly work with the rubber band as well, would be a good idea. Well, for me this is really quite a big print. It's not very tall, just under 15 millimeters, but it's one of the biggest things I've put on the bed. I certainly couldn't get both sides of the pulley printed at the same time. I've slowed it down to about 80% because I am getting a little bit of skipping, and even now I'm still getting a little bit of skipping. You can see it there on the extruder. Now it doesn't seem to be affecting the print at all, so I'm going to let it carry on, but it's obviously not good for it. I think it's fair to say that my slicer settings have been tuned for really quite small items, because that's what I usually print. So now I'm printing something quite a bit bigger. It could be a bit of an issue. Well, after many years of using the wrapper PLA, I've gone on a reel of something different. So this is Polylite PLA, net weight 1 kilogram. I've only just started using it. It's actually very similar to the stuff I was using before. It's black. It's a very slightly different black, but it's still black. It looks very nice, and I'm looking forward to using a lot more, and also looking forward to not worrying about running out of filament like I used to. So despite the skipping extruder, the print quality actually looks pretty good. So I'm just going to leave it printing for the minute. I mean, these gears, they're not the best. I mean, they're a great design, but these actual examples are not the best, and you can see that the black gear is wearing into the white gear. So I'm almost certainly going to have to reprint these and actually replace them in the not so distant future. Another thing I'm going to have to look at is this spool, because the filament is just falling off it. Now I don't know if it's because it's retracting or whether it's just because it's very loose on its bearings. I mean, it actually, so on proper ball bearings it turns very easily, but maybe I need to put a little bit of thought into how to keep it on the spool a bit better. Well, it's crude, but I've just redeployed my filament cleaning device as a brake on the drum, so that it won't spin quite so freely. I've lowered the speed down a bit more because although it's doing reasonably well, it is still skipping, and I can see gaps on the layer. This is running at about 50% speed. The filament is at 185 degrees. I think when I print the bottom half of the pulley I'm going to raise it to 190 degrees, which should allow me to print a bit faster. This is the bottom of the pulley printing. Now I had a lot of skipping on the first layer where the temperature of the filament was over 200 degrees, so I don't think it's temperature related. I have cleaned the little pinion gear here, which helped a bit, but basically I've also just slowed it down. So whilst this printer has been tuned reasonably well recently, it still struggles a bit with large parts, and I need to work a bit more on it. Right, well the printing was fun, but it did all come out in the end as you saw. These are the bits here, so this is the top plate that I did first. So basically it's still going to have this CD stuck on the top. I've got the same bit of design here as I used here. So this CD will just fit on the top there, and the bottom bit, it's going to have a bearing pressed in the bottom there, and it's got screw holes in the same place. And basically those are through M5 holes, and those will be tapped M5. It's something I never mentioned actually when I was showing like previous versions of the drive pulley here, like this one here. I 3D printed the holes and I actually tapped with an M3 tap, so the screws will go in, and it works surprisingly well, and you don't need a huge amount of infill, because by printing the hole you actually get the walls of the hole, and you can just tap into that. So this bit here was actually printed with 10% infill, and this was printed with 5% infill, because basically I couldn't be bothered to wait to print one with more strength inside. It just doesn't need it. I mean, it's, you know, is it strong? It's strong enough for my purposes. Okay, well before I go any further, just a few notes about joining the two together. So the top bit, this has got 4mm clearance holes, at least they're supposed to be 4mm. I'm going to clean them out with a 4mm drill, and then the M4 nuts, sorry, M4 machine screws that I'm going to use should go through. Now I think when I originally designed this it was going to be M5, but realistically if I move on to this bit here, I'll explain the problem, and that is because I've used very little infill. Although there are nice cylinders of plastic round the holes, they're not actually fixed inside particularly strongly because there's very little infill. So I've got to be careful with tapping these, that these don't break loose. So I'm going to use an M4 tap. I've got a couple here. I don't appear to have a full set, so I'm probably not going to be able to make the thread go all the way to the bottom of the hole properly, but that's not going to be a problem. Right, to be honest, that's probably good enough. That fits in quite nicely. I'm going to need an Allen key to tighten that up. But yeah, if I was tapping metal, I would probably pay a lot more attention to the hole size, and I have special lubricant for tapping with as well. And also, even on this, although I've got 10mm holes, and I said I couldn't tap the bottom, there's not too much of a problem if the tap breaks through the bottom, because it's just sort of hollow plastic, or hollow space under the plastic bottom anyway. So, but yeah, I'm going to do a bit more cleaning up, but from a hole point of view, I think that's absolutely fine. Well, I'm still not sure about the stepper motor. There does seem to be some rhythmic thumping still. But mechanically the new big pulley looks like it's going to work. Okay, now time to play some records. I've got the new big pulley mounted up. I've got the rubber band on. It seems to be much happier with the rubber band. The Hoover belt, it does fit, but I get a lot of wow and flutter, so I'm not going to use that. I've had a few issues with the rubber band sort of flipping around and going from flat to upright, but it seems to be okay at the minute, so we're going to go with it. And so what I'm going to do is go from each speed in turn, showing that the speed is set pretty much on the right speed, and then playing a record that I've played before plus a record that I don't think I have. So anyway, let's start with 78. That's fairly close. So let's stick on a record. That sounds pretty good to me. Now this is a proper shellac record. This dates for about 1930, give or take. Well, that one sounds okay to me. I'll stop that. But keep the records down here. Move on to 45. Let's just check the speeds first. There we go, that's pretty much on the money. Now this turntable's a little bit wonky, but it's actually centered very well, so the actual peg in the middle is centered very well. Well, it's passable. That's definitely better than it has been. Now this one here, I've never played this record, ever. It's apparently 200 basic words of Italian. Let's give it a go. Oops. Well, I don't know any Italian at all, but that didn't sound too bad. Now for the one you've been waiting for, the 33. Check the speed first. That's not too bad. Well, not too bad. I mean, it's not the best, but it's not too bad. And here's another record, another one of these 7-inch 33s, or 33 and a thirds. I really don't know what's on this, but I suspect it is classical music or chamber music or something like that. Let's give it a go. Well, not quite what I expected. I think there definitely is a bit of wow and flutter on there. Let's try the other side. Don't know about that. I do have another 33 record here. Let's try this one instead. Yeah, recognisable I think. So I think the 33 still has some issues, but it's certainly a lot better than it was. I go as far to say that the 78 is nigh on perfect. I mean, I think it does still have a little bit of wow flutter, and the 45 I think is quite passable too. But generally that is considerably better than it has been. Now there's still lots more I could do with this. I've got a stepper driver board which I'm going to try on this, which should give me micro stepping or half stepping, which may help. And this new pulley here, although it's very central, there is a bit of wobble on it, and I'm sure there's still more I can do around the belt. It's been behaving itself very well just now, but it's not perfect. It does have the odd fit occasionally. Anyway, that's it for now. Thanks for watching, and if you have enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. Thanks again.